Hey, Luke, you want anything?
Can I have some muffins? There we go. Thank you very much. What are you gonna have?
Oh, I filled this thing with almonds.
As one does and ought.
The most convenient way to pack snacks, drinks.
Especially when you want to plant yourself on the side of a mountain airy.
I brought an ice pack,
Oh, that's good. That's
put it on my
convenient.
neck,
Ice pack,
get
horse
too hot.
pack.
Exactly.
Yep. What's the horse's name?
We have
Steady horse?
we have varied about this. Someone on your channel suggested steamboat, which I like.
Steamboat of
Yeah.
Wyoming.
Hey, Luke, what's ancient Greek for steamboat?
Oh. I'm trying to remember.
People ask me for more anachronistic stuff
I
than that.
I cannot. I cannot remember a good word for steam. There's kapnos for smoke. So I'll say kapnoploion, which is
Okay.
a smoke boat, but close.
I wasn't expecting an answer. Seemed like there was a pretty good reception to that first video we made about it,
That's right.
so we should have stopped there. But we did have some further thoughts today. Like what? You start us with what other thoughts you had.
Well,
Because
what did I
on
not
the
talk
ride over
about
here,
yet?
you had a lot of them.
I got a lot of thoughts. Oh my gosh. I didn't talk about the rhapsode at the beginning.
Okay.
We didn't talk about that, did we? I don't think
Mm.
so. I have, but not on camera. I mentioned how they tried to incorporate in at the beginning, and it's at other points something that was a great idea, but I think the execution was poor. There's a rhapsode, and it's actually played by the rap singer. I can't remember his name, but he's using the rabdos, which is the staff.
So that Ruby Crown Kinglet,
Oh yeah,
you don't see him very much. You hear him, you don't see him much.
he's beating with the staff because, as far as we understand, the rhapsode, that some of them were blind, but they didn't have to be. But they would use the harabdos, the staff, to pound out the rhythm of the hexameter, and it was usually recited, not necessarily sung. And this is kind of featured, except he would only say like one word at a time. He would like bang, bum, 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 and then say a few words, then bum, 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 and it's like you don't understand how this works. Whoever made this and put this in the movie, read this in a book, but had no idea how hexameter works, and didn't understand that you're literally tapping the beats, and that is not what this character was doing. I found that to be painfully embarrassing.
So but this also highlights a difference between our perspectives here. My brother, Travis, actually, I think the rapper is Travis.
Right. Oh, what's his name?
Is it Travis Scott? Am I
That
going
sounds
crazy?
very familiar.
Um,
I can't remember.
but my brother Travis said, he was contrasting your sort of glass half empty, my glass half full attitude toward the movie. And this is an example of that too, because to me, I thought this is an attempt to incorporate something legitimate from the ancient world, an attempt to also make some continuity with something from the modern world. And I liked that some of the specific lyrics were really from the Odyssey, right?
Yeah.
A man
Sing of a
sing, a
man.
man muse, etc. Like to me, I more appreciated the shout out than quibbled with what was wrong in the shout out. But an interesting thing also about that shows the contrast between our attitudes is that broadly speaking, I don't like movies.
I like movies.
So,
I like movies when they're not just when they're good, but I like movies.
but oddly enough, this sort of makes me more ready to be forgiving about movies sometimes, right? Because I'm like, it's a movie. Like, what do I expect? You have a certain, I don't know, more elevated set of expectations. Whereas, remember what my one on a scale of 1 to 10 was was Guns of El Chupacabra. Like I've been willing to watch that and just be like, yeah, it's a movie. I mean, like the commentary is what made it, but
Yeah.
um, like that may actually be sort of conditioning this. Oddly enough, you as more of a cinephile, like Travis, are more willing to see that glass half empty, and I'm just like, I couldn't make this glass half full.
Isn't Travis more the glass half full though on those kinds of things?
He probably is, but you know, we Crawfords are a great-hearted people, as Aristotle would say. Right?
Megale psyche.
That's
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. Well, the what it's just so not hard to make it almost exactly like that, but good, which would have been just to have recited it and then use the staff to hammer out the beat. Especially, for example, what's something that's really interesting to consider is that later classical, Hellenistic, Greek poetry and Roman poetry is spoken, and its rhythm is, it could be hexameter, it could be hendecasyllable, like da mi bassia mille den decentum den altera mille den dal. It's this wonderful kind of rhythm, and it's very reminiscent, I think, although it's not the same, but it's very reminiscent of how rap music is now a genre that a lot of people like, and it's sort of a spoken. Um, it's predominantly spoken, right? It's not as precise in the melody as what we think of as other typical or traditional song, and that's what the poetry was like through so much of antiquity, and that's why this Travis Scott, right? Is that is his name?
Well, I don't know. We can't look it up right
Yeah,
now.
I can't look it up.
So.
We don't, yeah, I can't look at that. But anyway, if that's what that is, and the way it was presented is like this is not any of that. So they came so close to making a really thoughtful comparison.
And I'm kind of used to this in Viking movies too, where usually I have to settle for, well, they got pretty close to this being.
Well, there's hey, you might probably get an actual Viking ship sometimes.
Well, yeah, that's easier to do than getting, legit Bronze Age ships. I mean, look, I too, as a language guy, an inveterate career language guy, I am used to utterly compromising about language stuff because no one wants to get it right. People only care about material culture, right? If you get a train wrong by a year in a Western, you're going to get 5 million comments about it online, right? But no one cares about, like, well, no one said this word in whatever year. This movie surprised me by actually basically saying, like, to hell with the material culture too, right?
Yeah.
The armor doesn't look particularly of its time. The material in general doesn't look particularly of its time. The ships definitely don't. I was kind of surprised that he just was like, to hell with it. But also there's a part of me, my darker heart that channels its rage to the Oresteia, kind of looks at that and says, like, take that material, guys. This is what I deal with all the time. But of course,
Yeah.
like, I also don't understand that if you have billions of dollars to make this movie, why not make it a little bit more, of the period?
I can accept. So that's the thing too. I can accept the decision. Why is there a Viking ship? We don't know at this time. It was just like, hey, we needed to save money. We didn't want to rebuild one. This was available in the filming location. Of course, I would wonder why it's not filmed in the Aegean, but okay, filmed in the North Sea instead, and they had it available. If that's the reason, I want to know. That would at least satisfy my curiosity, and I could accept the strangeness of that. Um, but so many. I mean, there's why did I think it's supposed to be the Sicanies? They is how they devastated many of the ships of Odysseus's small fleet. They were wearing this armor. It looks like a very late medieval plate armor. It's cool looking. There were these giant sort of soldiers, and they seem basically impervious to anything that the hetairoi, the comrades of Odysseus, what they could throw at them. There's one ship just getting hacked apart. Well, by the way, there's spoilers in this. There's a ship's getting hacked apart while they're like unable to even strike these well armored guys. And I think they tried to make Odysseus too good of a person by our standards.
Yeah, and it would have been kind of interesting to either push that one direction or another, like actually try to keep his value system a little bit more like their time. In which case, people might be a little bit less sympathetic with him because, by our standards, he definitely cheats on Penelope while she's pining for him.
They're not human, but yes.
Uh,
Uh,
but still, and
yeah.
also by our standards, he is a murderer.
Yeah. The Sicanies, he and his crew, because the Sicanies are not allies. They were allies of the Trojans. So after the war, they feel fine apparently with going and sacking this, raiding this, the Sicanies town, and they steal a bunch of stuff. But then when we hear Odysseus tell this, he's taking telling the Phaeacians to King Alcinous, right?
King not appearing in this movie.
King not appearing in this movie, and, and he and he says how yes, and then we took a bunch of their food and their livestock, and that was all good. The problem was that we stayed there too long, he said. And then they rallied up their allies, and the Sicanies and their allies came and totally devastated and destroyed 6 of the ships. 6 of his fleet of 12, I think.
Which they
And
never show him having 12 in the movie. It
no,
starts with 3, I think.
yeah, just
Yeah.
like 3. And not most adaptations in film, I've only seen like one ship, one lonely ship when he starts out with a fleet.
So this is kind of like how they take those 108 suitors and turn them into basically 2 speaking roles, right?
Yeah, and
That's, which is fine, I
yeah.
think. You actually quibble with that a little bit more than I did. I said, like, this is like, and I'm sure I'm offending you here. This is sort of like the Tom Bombadil decision Peter Jackson makes. It's
Would
like,
that offend me? How?
because I'm comparing Homer to
Tolkien?
Tolkien? I don't know.
Tolkien's amazing. He's not
Oh, okay.
exactly Homer, but Homer was first, so you know.
Oh,
He's
okay.
he's I love Tolkien. He's very good.
I'll try harder to offend you.
Yeah, I work hard at Jax.
But I mean, it's a 3-hour movie. You got to condense things. It's not crazy to try to condense that crowd of suitors. But I think that the Sicanies, it's like, okay, why make them so different? It's because he's trying to make this just a series of weird encounters for the modern audience, right? And he makes it weird by having them look really weirdly out of place and be really weirdly huge, even though these aren't distinctive characteristics that they have in the poem.
No, no. I
There's
the
already a giant.
I like the idea of the fact that through whatever whether Homer was trying to give us some kind of a judgment on the fact that they tarried there and didn't just get on their ships and they took what they could carry, but they became greedy. That's at least part of the moral lesson. Or the other moral lesson might be, maybe it's kind of wrong to go and raid this place. I don't know. Either way, I would like to have had the opportunity. But they don't get to raid anybody there. They just go into a forest and it's like, please, we need help. We're friendly when they're normally not in these situations in the original.
We're talking here about some anachronisms in this movie. A lot of you really care about Viking stuff that's not anachronistic. And if so, you want to get your Viking stuff from my friends and partners at grimfrost.com. Check them out. They are still eating all U.S. import taxes and tariffs as of July 2026. And if you tell them you came from here, it does help support the channel. All right, back to your thoughts about the Odyssey.
The Odyssey. What an Odyssey. Um, sheep come in flocks. Did you know that, Jackson? Sheep come in flocks.
Yeah, I was aware.
The wisest of men, being Odysseus, teaches his crew that.
Yeah, well,
There was a sheep, and then sheep come in flocks, as if it were as intelligent of a thing to say as okay. So I have 50 some potatoes, and I cut them in half, and I divide them in. It's like it was like I was shocked by how dumb that line was.
it didn't bother me as much.
That was sand was coarse for me.
But yeah, but I mean, this supposed to be in a really high stress situation, right? And a lot of people sort of shut down and stop thinking in a high stress situation. So just explaining, hey, sheep come in flocks. Like, oh yeah, I understand the implication of what you're saying, right? It didn't bother me that much because I just thought that it was people under stress. It's another thing that contributed to me rating it a little bit higher is I'm willing to read that a little more generously, perhaps, that kind of thing. I mean, there's still things that bothered me and you, right? The little bit of Greek. It's so weird to put the Greek in the mouth of somebody who's supposed to be not Greek. But it's the same thing Outlander does with the Old Norse.
So there's a precedent of, you might say.
Yeah, and I warned you that it could happen on the way to the
You were
theater.
right. You warned me. By the way, where they get this as a Hackett?
Yeah,
You get this on Hackett's. I
on
love
Amazon
this.
and such too. Yeah,
Little
it's nice,
Ravens.
nice little journal, right?
Nice little journal.
The Wanderer's Journal.
Mm-hmm. It's got the. That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. Those
Yeah.
are quotes from Hofmall,
Yeah. And on the other side, it has the translation.
Cowboy Hofmall translation. Yeah.
You're a goddamn fool. If you think you'll live forever just because you won't fight, say nobody ever kills you. Old age is no peach either. Havamal 16.
And you know what? There's a lot of that kind of gnomic wisdom embedded in the Odyssey too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that, in fact, one of the scenes that I had a lot of praise for, and I think you had less contempt for, was the Hades scene.
Yeah.
And Agamemnon actually says something much like the first stanza of Havamal to Odysseus there, right? Be watchful at every doorway, at every entry. And that was actually fairly well represented in the movie. And I thought that again, I think, yes, he looks like Batman, but I thought that the weird, subtle menace of this Agamemnon really kind of worked and also suitably made him a little bit ambiguous. Like, do you respect this guy or do you just think of him as sort of trash? You know, the guy who murdered his daughter. I mean, the Greeks themselves seem pretty divided about this character, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, his name even kind of says that.
Agamemnon?
Yeah.
I haven't thought of the etymology.
Well, so aga,
Aga?
right? Isn't that from the zero grade of the same root that gives us mega? So big.
Oh.
And then, right, or exceedingly, right? Isn't aga sometimes uses like too much?
Oh, yeah, Agan. Right. Med hen Agan, which is what the prophet says at Delphi. Never too much.
And then memnon should be
He remembers too
wait.
much?
Well, I was going to say waiting too much.
Oh.
Is he the one who's too resolute? The one who's too abiding?
Too insistent. That's definitely his personality.
Yeah.
Because he insists on this war. The characters.
Tanager.
Hey, Tanager.
See that
Yeah,
bright
ooh, that's
yellow and red?
pretty. Nice.
Joe and Candy would be jealous. I keep telling them I see them and they never do.
Mm.
Just got to sit in a place like this for a little while.
Yeah, it's a nice
Eating
place
bugs.
to be.
Is that a second one? I don't know. Can't see through the tree there. But, oh no, it's the kinglet, which is also a privilege to see. You know, all the names are kind of interesting. We talked about Odysseus a little bit in that one video. I think some of the names do potentially give us information about the characters. None of that was milked for the movie. Cyclops is a great one, right? So Clops, thief, or
Yeah, Klops
yeah,
means
Clops.
thief.
Yeah,
Klops.
because it's like kleptocracy,
Right.
Yeah, but that coup is very likely the peku word, like
Right.
so it's originally
Cattle.
actually cattle thief. Yeah,
Cattle thief.
right. You're probably originally starting with a character that's fundamentally, you know, something that's a threat to your economic way of being, right? A supernatural raider.
Yeah,
and
a
then,
barbarian, someone that hasn't come into civilized society yet.
Yeah, and then that ops gets reanalyzed as something to do with eye, right? So you get the
Right.
wheel eye. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, it's the one eye.
Kuklos. Kukuloops.
Penelope's name
yeah.
gets reanalyzed the same way. People think that that's, you know, face, but it probably is actually related to a word for a particular kind of duck, right? It is a name for some kind of, like the ruddy duck or something in ancient Greek.
That's fantastic. I didn't know that.
Kirke is falcon,
Right.
right? Isn't that Kirkos? So it's
Right.
Menelaus, it's actually basically warlord, right?
Rage, is it Rage of the People? Maybe like man. I don't know if that's
Oh,
the folk
okay. It could be
etymology.
rage person, rage,
And
yeah.
Rage of the People.
Rage man, basically, yeah.
Menelaus. I don't know. I have difficulty remembering between the etymology, the actual determined etymology and the folk etymologies sometimes. Oh, wait, I want to complain again about the Cyclops scene. So the because he is a Kuklops, which is maybe a cow stealer, which is great. What's so interesting about that is you have someone living in a cave, which is like a primitive state of the human condition, and then he is also he doesn't have agriculture. He's referred to as not a is it is it bromo pagos brotos? I forget the term, but it's about the fact that he doesn't eat grain. He just eats cheese and meat. So he's not of the civilized peoples like these Achaeans and the Trojans and others who are that's how they eat grain as part of their diet. And they have wine and these other forms of cultivation. And they also don't respect these rules for treating guests decently. So what the whole point of that scene is that the Cyclops is not an alien or not a truly a monster. He is really just from the Homeric perspective, a primitive and horrifying person, and that's why what it does is so moral. Whereas in this movie, I've never seen it more terrifying, and it was thrilling to watch. But the whole time while I'm enjoying watching that, I'm like, this is totally missed the point of the scene, and I don't know. I found that stuck with me of how much that particular bothers me. Oh, the Athena pin. That's the other thing that bothered me. What's with the Athena pin? It has a pin or a pin or a brooch. Doesn't look like it. It's just like a little statue that's supposed to be of Athena. And he says to Penelope at the beginning of the movie, he's going to take it with him so that people can recognize him in his travels and let her know that he's still somewhere, wherever he's gonna be. I found that to be. It reminded me immediately of Inception, like the little top and some kind of a physical thing that you carry with you, which is neat. I think works psychologically, but ultimately, I think the execution is kind of dumb because it's like, why is this necessary at all? Can you help me with that to make me see it
Well,
differently? Because I think it's dumb. I think it is not necessary.
I think that Nolan kind of likes, as you were saying, these elements, small things people carry through a movie. There's the top in Inception, right? There was something in Interstellar
I can't
too, wasn't
remember.
there?
I'm probably with something. I can't remember.
So I think it's a little bit of a motif for him. I thought it was strange to make that basically take the place of the bed as the way that she recognizes that it's him.
That disappoints you.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. The ending is the place where the divergences from the original were the most surprising to me and seemed the least motivated.
Right.
I understand cutting, the Phaeacians just so you don't have quite as many people to tell stories to. It's confusing to add framing.
Yeah, I guess. But what's the point of it in the book? He gets his mojo back.
Yeah,
It's a very important part.
yeah.
It's a whole book about the playing games, and then he is encouraged. Athena tells him, Athena posing as someone else is egging him on because someone's like, "Hey, you want to throw this?" It's like, "Nah, it's for people who are in shape, and I'm like out of shape, and I'm so preoccupied with getting home, I couldn't." And Athena, as posing as one of the Phaeacians who are doing this kind of athletic game, this contest, eggs him on and says, "Oh, I knew it. You're all talk. You're not really able to you're not this great hero or whatever he was claiming to be at that point." And then he says, "All right," and then he does throw the discus and throws it farther than anyone else. And Athena helps guide it a little bit, and then Athena poses as another one of the Phaeacians and says, "Wow, look at that! Look how far! Look, you did great!" And is really just encouraging him. And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, you young whippersnappers, you try to do better than that." And it was so it was the rehabilitation of his psyche. That is a lovely part of the book that I've never seen depicted cinematically, and like that's not in the 1997 movie. I don't know if that anything like that happens elsewhere, but it's that kind of stuff which it shows you like this is what the original poem is about, and so much of what the poem is about I did not see on that very pretty screen.
Well, Luke, you seem to have a lot of opinions about what a movie of the Odyssey should be. What's your recipe for a good filmed version of the Odyssey, whether for movies or a TV series?
All right, so Thank you for asking that question because I hope somebody does this someday. I think the only way to do this right, I talked about this in a video recently on my channel, the only way to actually portray the Iliad or the Odyssey is to have, so each of them have 24 books or rhapsodies. You have 24 episodes. If you have them as an audio book, it's about a half hour to like 45 or sometimes 50 minutes at the most, usually just half hour, 20 minutes. So this translates into, you could have a half hour episode for every book of a TV show, of like a high quality TV show on some streaming service, and but not live action, because live action just cannot get across the some of the really the horrifying battle scenes and things like that that are part of the poetry. And indeed, part of the poetry is hearing how Homer is telling the story about how in the Iliad, Diomedes, how he crushes Aeneas's hip. No idea how he got such good physical therapy in a year, by the way, but he does in describing the hip cup and this whole thing, and it takes like a paragraph, and it's horrifying, and it's supposed to. You can imagine a guy who's telling people and entertaining them with this horrifying imagery, and that what made me think of anime, and anime excels in a number of things cinematically, but the high quality like Ghibli films, that high quality anime can do horror or horrifying images as well as very beautiful images and landscapes, but can do blood and violence in a way that is as horrifying as it is to see beautiful, for lack of a better term, because that's what the poetry is beautiful, and it's this, the moment is horrifying. But what we should do is we should have, of the Iliad, you had 2 seasons of this master work that someone would put together, high quality, taking itself seriously anime, where you have every single line is how it should start. You have Homer. He comes and sits on a rock in a place where people can listen to him. And this is going to be the first time he's going to be reciting it to an audience that knows how to write in the new alphabet. And he's blind. And then he starts to recite the whole poem from the beginning. So in the whole TV series, the only words we hear are its translation, because I'm not going to hold my breath and say they should do this first in ancient Greek, though I'd be interested in helping out with that project. You have them do it in whatever translation, but every word of that translation, whatever translation it is audible. If it's Japanese, it would be Japanese. It gets dubbed into other languages. That's fine. And he is narrating the whole time, except when a character is speaking, and then that character is done by a different voice actor. But we get to see visualized every line, every image, and that would be fantastic, because can't see another way to do this cinematically and actually portray anything really with the justice it deserves. So for these, I could get 24 episode season out of that for the Iliad, then a second season for the Odyssey, or you could do 12, 12, 12, make it 4 years, and I think that would be fantastic. Because this is not just some random poem. This is not something like, oh yeah, this is just a simple story. It's a very human story, and both of them are in the Odyssey. Like we just read it, and it's moving, and there's something very modern and accessible about how the characters are feeling. Their sense of justice and right and wrong is much more Bronze Age, much more metal, as you might say. But it's so accessible as is, and almost every depiction, including and especially the movie that we saw by Christopher Nolan, is less human. It is less evocative. It is less impressive. It is less accessible.
I'm interested in what you mean by less human.
Less human? Having people not cry?
Oh, okay.
That's one.
Okay.
Less, but an exciting film experience. Go ahead, counter that, Jackson.
Well, I think my main problem with it is that you come into my house and you say the words high quality anime, but
Of which you've never seen.
it's true.
I didn't. Hey,
I've actually seen some of the Studio Ghibli movies.
You have?
Yeah.
Which ones?
Spirited Away.
Okay.
And The Moving Castle.
Okay.
Maybe another one.
You just see Graveyard for Fireflies.
I don't think I saw that.
That is very sad. That
Okay.
is.
I can respect the artistry and say it's not for me. Uh,
Would you prefer a different animation style?
no, I don't. Well, no, actually, frankly, yeah, I'm not an animation
Ah,
guy.
that's it. That's it.
Um,
Americans in general, we're afraid of animation. We think it's for kids. That's why Disney's been doing all those live action films.
which doesn't seem to be going well for him. I have not been tapped on the, on any of those
Moana remake.
to my knowledge. That'd be interesting. Um, I don't know. I think about, and I think I even brought this with me. Is it in the horse? No, I think it's my bag. What is the
Ah,
northern equivalent of the Iliad or the Odyssey? It's the Saga of the Volsungs, right? It's a story that everybody knew. Maybe not in this form that it is in the saga, but often knew through Eddic poetry. How would I film that?
yeah. How would you film that?
I've had this notion for a long time that it would make a really good trilogy, which is funny because the Volsung is much shorter than the Odyssey, right?
Yeah.
I mean, probably by a factor of 10 or 12. And
Hmm.
yet I still think it could be made into a really compelling trilogy of films, or maybe trilogy of, TV specials or something like that. Because the story breaks up really neatly into threes: before Sigurdar's life and then after Sigurd.
Mm.
Um, but the storytelling is so, so, so different,
How is it
right?
different?
I mean, in the Odyssey, I know what Odysseus feels, right? He's adrift at sea, and I know he's lonely. I know he's scared.
Yeah.
I know what he's thinking about. You don't get inside the heads of characters in Norse stories.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. It's just telling facts as they would appear to an observer without
Yeah,
imagining what they feel.
there's no internal monologue. There's only dialogue.
That's what I think people imagine ancient literature is like in
Yeah,
general, whether it's Latin or Greek or Norse.
and it's funny that it's actually pretty different. That much much earlier, the Greeks are actually getting much more psychological with their fiction than the Norse are. I mean,
Yeah.
it's different cultures. They come from a pretty similar place. There are some really really similar elements. Xenia, the guest host relationship, practically the same in the
Yeah.
Norse world, and a major theme of Hvalmall, Odin's wisdom for us, is being a good host and a good guest. All of that would be very familiar to Greeks, but the storytelling is remarkably different. The
Hmm.
poetry is remarkably different. The constant use of epithets, right? The rosy fingered dawn,
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I like that one.
but even just as simple as wise Penelope, or these phrases that recur again and again, gave his words wings, and said, it's more formulaic than Norse poetry. Norse poets are actually trying to show off a little bit more and do things that you're not expecting much more often.
Really?
They want to use new and different names for things. So
Ah.
there's also that's pretty different,
Hmm.
right? Look at me, I'm following the formula versus look at me, I'm doing something you're not expecting me to do. Is a pretty big
Subversion.
difference. Yep, they're subverting a little bit more, I think.
Subverting expectation.
I mean, you look at dactylic hexameter, and at least in a language that it works well in, and English is not one of them. I would say
Correct.
it's not. I would say extraordinarily hard to follow, to do.
The meter?
Yeah,
Oh,
like,
you can do it. Yeah.
but Eddic poetry is counterintuitive in a lot of ways. A lot of line types work that you wouldn't necessarily expect to from the basic rules, and and it's more than just substituting a spondy for a dactyl or something like that.
Right.
I think that there's a fundamentally different culture around the composition of poetry that speaks to.
Ooh, really? How
Yeah,
so?
well, more individualized, which then again gives you an ironic twist because we know the names of none of the Eddic poets.
Huh.
We do know the names of Skaldic poets, which that is an even more complicated and individualized art. But also, these poems tend to be much shorter.
Mm-hmm.
The narrative poems are, typically about one episode. Again, they don't get in anybody's head. It's mostly dialogue. And then action is described in much sparser, terser language. Right? You were talking about this long description of a hip getting broken.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that in Old Norse. You're going to get he hurt him, he
Yeah.
killed
Wow.
him. right? He struck him with an axe.
Yeah.
It very seldom gets more detailed than that.
I thought that's what
Maybe,
I was expecting when I first read the Iliad. I was like, whoa, this is this is
yeah.
nuts.
It's surprising when you get the grittier ones. Like Grettis Saga is a little grittier. Gisli Saga is occasionally a little bit gritty like that, but you
Mm.
mostly don't get that kind of detailed description. Um, it's it's just terser all around,
Mm.
um, almost as if, like, I promise you, I'm not wasting your time. See how few words I'm going to use here.
Yeah, and that's part of the art, that art, the style, the culture. I mean, and the Romans thought the Greeks were loquacious and wordy,
Hmm.
and I would say Italians compared to other Western or Northern Europeans are definitely more vociferous. And I don't know enough Greeks to assert the comparison, but there's something about that culture, certainly Eastern Mediterranean, that there's so many traits in common in that shared roads of the world. And yeah,
Hmm.
and of course it makes sense it would be so different from that Nordic tradition and that behavior and way of interacting and seeing the world.
Possibly some of this speaks to the different environments in which these poems are shared too.
Mm,
Right, the Homeric poems may be shared in a more public setting, whereas the narrative poems of the Eddas may be shared in a more private setting that may be
mm,
more home based than hall based.
mm,
There is hall based, if you will, Norse poetry, but that tends to be the praise poetry of the skalds.
mm.
Uh, so, I mean, like, just these points, I think, are really surprising areas of divergence, both stylistically and culturally.
Yeah. I would like more people to actually read the Odyssey or listen to it read to them rather
Mm.
than get just a movie version. Even the 1997 one, which is good, and I think does the Odyssey a lot better justice than the Nolan film. It's not as good as a cinematic experience, to be sure. But when it comes to the actual story, I think people should really make the point of, okay, I'm going to read this or I'm going to listen to it. I think is even better, and and really understand it that way and think about what is important to this culture, because a lot of it speaks to you. I miss home. I miss my wife. I want to see my son. Like, there's that throughout, and that's very, very strong, and is a powerful feeling through the millennia. And so there's that, but there's also other aspects of it: the host guest culture and the sacredness of that. I would like to see more of this, the literature, whether it's Norse or if it's I mean, look at the there's the Vikings TV show,
Yeah,
which
sure.
man, that's at some parts were inspired and some inspired by the history, and some parts were very interesting. Other parts are like, this is stretching credulity so far that uh, you know I I had trouble, and I was enjoying that show at the beginning.
Well, and I've never seen it except to comment about the few scenes that had Old Norse or supposed Old Norse.
Yeah.
But that's because I hate movies. This is my reputation. So I just
Yeah.
don't want to, it's not what I relax with. It was much more interesting to me to see something that was more marginally related to my profession than it was to see something that was
Yeah.
like seemingly sort of aimed at me, right? Like
Hangover 4.
I was going to say like the Northman, right? Because I did watch that in theaters and I did have comments on it right after, and
Did
man, I didn't like it.
I don't know why people like that movie. Sorry if you
Okay.
like it out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought it struck me at the dialogue. It wasn't quite as, I think, was the Northman or was this Odyssey worse?
Oh, the Northman's worse. But they're both trying to
Ah,
do something kind of similar,
yeah,
which is take an ancient story and make it dark from a
grounded
modern. Yeah,
and
right,
s-
right.
and s- and more serious than it
Yeah.
than I mean the Odyssey. I don't think they really took the original material seriously in the cinematic
They
adaptation.
did a better job than the Northman did, I think, because in the Northman, there's not
Yeah.
even an attempt to follow uh, the outlines of a specific old story. It's a
Mm.
hodgepodge. In the Odyssey, it's recognizable that it's building on the skeleton of Homer's Odyssey.
The Northman. I remember when he's talking with his mother. That dialogue was terrible, and
The
but
dialogue, I think, was overall worse, if I remember
he
right.
was pretty lousy. But for me, it was that opening towards the opening. There's like a battle where he he's walking up to the walls, and this one big uncut scene. Now, the technicality of having all these moving parts, all these people, and ascending the wall, and all of that, coming over and killing a guy, very impressive choreographically. I thought it
Right.
looked idiotic because he's slowly walking, and it's like, why are what you would be charging? And it looked more like this is take number 24 after having done this and made mistakes and had to do retakes the whole day long, and they're exhausted. Maybe it's take 100 or 200, and they just all look tired and like they didn't want to do it. They did not look like they were actually engaged in battles, but it looked like to me. I thought, is this a joke? And despite the filmmakers having a lot of very impressive techniques um, and instincts, and was it Lighthouse was one of the others that they've done that are, really, really neat stuff. But I can only be pushed so far, I guess, before
And
I
I,
start complaining.
and I can respect the filmmaking. I can respect the cinematography. I can respect the individual people who worked on it,
Oh yeah, heck
uh,
yeah.
without saying that the final product is something that inspires me or makes me want to rewatch it or something like that. I still think the Odyssey is better than the Northman, though.
Yeah, yeah. It depends on which part.
What was the highlight of it for you? Let's
Oh, the Odyssey. What
yeah.
I liked, I really liked. Um, I do have something for this. I liked how terrifying when the stuff that was scary that was done with the sound design, good quality sound in the theater we were in. I think you couldn't hear the dialogue that well in a lot of the scenes, unfortunately, but otherwise the sound and the music and the waves of being really like, wow, this is a scary position to be in on the boat or in these caves or these other things, and like the visceral when we have the flashback of Clytemnestra killing Agamemnon. I thought
Mm.
that was almost like a worthy jump scare. People have said about this movie that Christopher Nolan is showing his capacity as a horror filmmaker.
Man, he should do the Oresteia. That would actually be a better fit
Yes,
for his talents.
yes, because the Oresteia is
Actually,
already fan fiction. So
that's
let it
kind of true.
so let it be, because instead of it being a Aegisthus, because that actually we got the fanfic version in this movie. In the Odyssey, it's a Aegisthus, the usurper and the lover of Clytemnestra, who kills Agamemnon, not Clytemnestra. That's in the Aeschylus version, and that's the more popular version of the myth. I think, just in general, people remember that better. Um,
It's more
which
satisfying for a modern audience because she's the one who has something to avenge.
Right, right. The daughter being sacrificed because there was no way to get out of Argos, otherwise,
Mm.
except by murdering Iphigenia. Sacrificing her. Excuse me, sacrificing her to Artemis.
Worth noting that in the original, she's more like an older teenager,
Is she?
Iphigenia, because she's told that she's going to marry uh, Achilles, right?
Oh, right,
That's why she's brought to the island in the first place.
right. That's right.
Yeah, she's not a baby, so it's kind of interesting to change her into a baby for the story. It almost makes I don't know. It's a different drama, I guess, somehow to
Mm,
kill a baby versus kill a teenager.
I guess.
I don't know. Like it's a different scene. The teenager is more horrified because the teenager knows what's about to happen at the last moment. The baby doesn't. So
I think doing Agamemnon and doing the whole trilogy of the Oresteia, that would be that could potentially be very good. I love your idea.
I think Christopher Nolan could knock that out of the park. So hey,
Yes, Chrissy baby.
well,
Hey,
Anne Hathaway may know who I am.
that's right.
So hey, hey, Anne.
We loved you as Penelope, by the way.
All the women were good. I didn't really have any complaints about any of the actors.
Oh, yeah,
No
I'm
one.
still. I'm not convinced that I think it's more about their portrayal. I think they were portraying the characters as directed and as written. So it's
Yeah.
really hard to separate. Like, is this an acting problem from just I don't like how this character is being portrayed?
Well, the most complaints I heard from you were about Matt Damon.
Matt Damon, man, love Matt Damon. Either he was miscast, or I think he's portrayed as too good of a person. I think he needs to be more uh, shown the way that his character and many other characters at that time behave with the raiding and the pillaging and all that, and also to be Odysseus is charismatic. He's suave. He's filled with. He's not just this PTSD survivor, but that's certainly part of it. But there's his ability to be wise and thoughtful and to step back and not like, okay, wait a minute, I'm going to think before reacting. I think a lot of his agency was stolen from him in the way that the character was written in a number of situations where he didn't get the chance to prove his mettle as the Odysseus, the clever. He is Odysseus the liar, which is good. That needed to be in there.
Actually, at the risk of lengthening this, one thing I didn't understand was making him a flat Earth atheist, as the TV tropes thing has it. Right? He keeps saying "your gods," right? Like
What
he's
was
really
that?
skeptical about
He kept saying that
the
to
gods.
Eurylochus.
What is the grounds for a person at this period to be skeptical of the existence of gods? Plus, he directly interacts with one.
Oh, I think I figured the answer out to that.
Plus, he witnesses magic. But then he seems to change his tone when they're on Helios's island. Then he says, "Don't kill the sun god's cattle." It's like, well, I thought you didn't believe in this stuff. But I guess at that point he has witnessed Cersei, using magic. He has met dead men, so I guess maybe his attitude has changed. But it's not necessarily clear why he had a skeptical attitude in the first place. Now, in the sagas, by the way, you do meet men who say, "Oh, I don't believe in the gods."
Really?
Yep. You do have the so-called godless men. The trick is they're proto-Christians. They're
That's
skeptical of the
interesting.
pagan gods. That
Right.
means they're ready to be converted to the one true God.
Ah.
Obviously not characteristic of, the Odyssey.
Yeah. That's neat, though.
But like that I did not understand the motivation for. Like
That was not well thought out, I think.
we don't need the dialogue wasted on this. There's other things you could have fit in that time.
But I think I understand why. Because the idea was that there was the first title line is of apparent magic. So whatever Circe managed to do to make them pigs, maybe it was just a spell. Maybe it was all in their heads. There's some there's because or maybe not. Maybe that actually was real supernatural stuff that was going on. But Calypso, there was nothing supernatural.
The lotus is kind of supernatural, right? Like the amnesia plant. That's kind of supernatural.
But it's physical and it's explainable. It's not much more supernatural than anything in Batman Begins.
I suppose, was that Christopher Nolan? That whole trilogy, that is Christopher Nolan, right?
Yeah.
I liked Batman Begins.
It was so much fun to see Batman in that concretized, more realistic thing. At the time, I was quite ready for it, and I liked that trilogy a lot. But with this movie, with Odysseus, he sees Athena, but that is the only time we have any potential supernatural divine influence. And I think the point of the movie is there never was any divine influence, and that it was just Odysseus imagining Athena, which I think, again, misses the point of the Odyssey. I'm sorry, you cannot have the Odyssey or the Iliad or a movie called Troy that's about the same stuff but no gods in it. Most of the characters and most of everything that's going on is due to the stuff of the gods. Especially if we could be, it's a modern society of people who call back to a Christian tradition of 2,000 years, or people who could be atheists, and maybe a variety of other things. Those are two general camps, I suppose, and people that might fall in between them. And so people don't think of imagining seriously that gods would be involved or care in that stuff, other than it being simple stories and myth. And so it's never taken seriously. And Christopher Nolan's solution, as was the solution with Troy, was basically to almost entirely eliminate them, and the story and meaning, I think, suffers.
Yeah, I wouldn't try to do the Volsungs without Odin. Odin interacts quite directly with the human characters there.
Oh, I'd love to see the Christopher Nolan godless, no supernatural
Volsungs,
and see the Jackson Crawford score go down to 6.5.
We'll just automatically rate things higher than you. Honestly, the fact that it was a Vikings or Norse thing might make me rate it lower by default. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I would give it a shot and see what he did with it.
Hmm?
But I doubt that he's going to move that way. Hey, anyone in Hollywood, do you want to do the Volsungs? Gotta come talk to me.
Yeah.
What kind of popcorn bucket could they do? Right? They could maybe do, I don't know, a Sleipnir. Oh, a Sleipnir.
I was thinking a hammer.
Yeah, hammer pop, but Sleipnir, the 8-legged horse, would be even harder to get your hand down in
Oh,
here and
yeah.
get your almonds or whatever, right?
You could use one of the legs as a crank to open it or something.
Yeah, by the way, every part of this is hollow, so cleaning this is quite a chore.
Yeah. It is. It is quite inconvenient.
but it's so wonderful.
You look at. No, wait. May I handle it a
Oh,
second?
well, be careful.
What's? Yeah, I will be careful. You have to be. Well, what's Steam Horse? What's his name? Steamboat. Steamboat Wilbur. He is. He's look. I think the design is beautiful. It's really well done. Looks very much like the also very beautifully constructed prop in the film, but ultimately is not very practical and not very well thought out, just like the film.
I can't believe you'd say that about the most wonderful popcorn bucket design ever invented.
He's trusty. He's steady horse.
I dragged that a long way in here and up here.
Up to this Eagle Point Airy.
It's pretty great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes me think of in Skirnismál in the Poetic Edda, where Skirnir warns Gerður that if she doesn't marry Freyr, she's going to sit Arathuvu, and she's going to look down into hell. She's going to sit on an eagle's nest and look down into hell. We should do, as a different topic, a video devoted to hell, Persephone, Hades, all these things, because I think there's some interesting stuff to talk about there, but that's a different topic to me.
Let's do that.
Thank you, folks, for listening and sharing your thoughts in turn on our thoughts on this movie and on the Odyssey itself, because I think there have been some pretty interesting thoughts about the poem itself from you, sir.
Also appreciate your viewpoints and keeping me honest.
Well, I think this was a good thing for you to do, to tackle this immediately upon coming out.
Yeah.
You've got the fastest takes in the West. Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, thank you, folks, again. And from beautiful Colorado, we're wishing you all the best.